there is a phenomenon where people of moderate ability, so, slightly above average intelligence, there's a phenomenon where sometimes these people, they will rate themselves as extraordinary, as geniuses. Whether or not it's because they're just not quite bright enough to know that they're not very bright, even though they're bright enough to realize that they are much brighter than most of the population. It's a well-known phenomenon. So it might be where someone of an IQ of 113 actually assumes that they have an IQ of 140. And I can't help but think of this phenomenon and relate it to the person that's been arrested in relation to the Idaho 4 killings. So Maddie and Kaylee and Ethan and Zana, we know that on November the 13th they were murdered whilst they slept in their off-campus home. They were students of Idaho University, and the person that's been arrested has been studying at Washington State University, which is just a few miles away across the state line. This person's name is Bryan Christopher Koberger. He may not be the only perpetrator, because apparently he has said to the arresting officers or someone where he's being held, have there been any other arrests? And that's quite interesting if it's true, because they were cleaning up 1122, the home where it happened, and they've apparently stopped the cleanup. So maybe there is an accomplice. But what's fascinating is that Bryan has been arrested in Pennsylvania. It's 2,000 miles away. It's a good haul. It's a 2 or 3 day drive if you're making stops. It's a long way. And he would have known that law enforcement are looking for information about a white Elantra, and yet he's driven to this gated community in Pennsylvania. Has he gone to family? So has he risked going somewhere where people can just go, oh, let's go over there, he might be there, father, uncle, grandfather, whatever, right? Crazy. But what's even more stupid is that the white Elantra is there on the property. I'm sorry, but this is just laughable. This is a person that, if he's guilty, we can have absolute contempt for, not only because he's a killer, but because of his arrogance and his stupidity. I truly believe, it seems, he thought he was going to have some sort of Dexter lifestyle, that he would be maybe known as a criminologist, but he would be, the sort of anti-hero, anti-Clark Kent, Superman type figure, where maybe he becomes some sort of authority on criminology, maybe works as a forensic criminologist for law enforcement, helping them solve murders, and he's moonlighting as a killer. I mean, at least Dexter was having his own version of integrity, wasn't he? And he was killing people that were, abusers, murderers. I never watched Dexter, but from what I understand, the character Dexter had a father who might have been a psychiatrist or something. Anyway, he recognized something in Dexter, a murderous bent. Maybe he saw him kill an animal or something. There's a movie that I won't digress, sorry, but Dexter is then guided by his father. Maybe his father works in criminology or something. I don't know, but he sort of trains him up. Okay, well, if you're going to do it, this is what you need to know. This is how you don't get caught. And maybe, kill people that deserve it, sort of thing, right? So this is vigilantism, right? But, perhaps this person who has, I think, maybe a psychology degree and then is working towards his PhD in criminology. Maybe he thought that this was the kind of life he was going to have. I don't know. I think he's been mulling this one over for quite some time. He's put his survey out on Reddit that no doubt we all know about now, where he's asked questions, including questions like, before you murdered, what were you thinking about? Did you think about, what is the why, and what is the feeling that you were having, and what was the feeling afterward? How did you choose a murder weapon? What murder weapon did you use? It's quite boggling. Yeah, so did he think with his PhD in criminal justice and criminology that he would be working on one side of the line and, walking on another? It's quite bonkers if he's, I think he has fantasized about this location, 1122, in the way that the alleged, the person arrested in Delphi murders is Richard Allen, a local to Delphi. Now, if he did commit that double homicide, I strongly believe that he fantasized about that location for many years, and I think that Bryan Kohberger, if he's the guilty party here, or one of, I think he has fantasized about this perfect location, and I think he's chosen November the 13th on purpose. Not only because they're coming to the end of a semester and people are going to be breaking, and it was just sort of maybe a perfect time to do something like this, but, November 13th is when, is it the Amityville horror was committed? But, how far ahead has he thought that he's committed just such a perfect crime that there's no way that he would be traced to Pennsylvania, and so there's no need to get rid of this Elantra? Did he not know how to get rid of the Elantra without drawing attention? Did he not think people were watching the news about this in Pennsylvania? Did he not think that maybe someone could tip in this car that's parked in his yard? I don't know. And, did he think that he's definitely not left behind any forensics so that he can't be traced to any family member's property or anything like this? It's just, imagine only... thank goodness he can't think too far ahead. This is the arrogance of these deranged people too, I think. Yeah, people are drawn to these types of vocations, these, psychology, psychiatric, counseling roles, for a reason often that is not a positive one, right? Sometimes they want to be able to control and manipulate. Sometimes they want to be able to understand themselves. Sometimes they just want access to vulnerable people. And, they want a way to feel power and to, there's a lot of sick people in psychology and psychiatry. One of them who is, the deranged witch of the South, who causes nothing but damage. How she has these followers that hang on her words, I don't know. She abuses victims and innocent bystanders alike. she did a real number on Shane Carey, and she's turned around and done the same thing to one of the neighbors, Jeremy of the Idaho 4, where she'll, zoom in on his eyes and his mouth and think she's some sort of body reading genius, and she's just a dangerous, vile, hateful, nasty quack. What she did to Debbie Collier, if that wasn't enough to show people once and for all what this woman's soul is like, she was mocking and cruelly disparaging a woman in the last hour of her life, this woman in her most vital, desperate hour. And this is a psychologist that has access to vulnerable students, people that have lives where the challenges are human interaction and understanding. And this twisted person has access to their minds, access to children for assessments and things. I mean, it gives me the creeps. Yeah, so I find this very interesting about this arrested person. Part of his questionnaire, part of the questions in his survey were, about, did you have an accomplice? Did you commit this act by yourself? And did he decide to have a getaway driver? I am so sorry I'm smiling. This is a very sad and awful topic, but I'm just so thrilled. I'm thrilled for Idaho. I'm thrilled, for the university, for Moscow, for the law enforcement teams, for young adults, families and friends, and for their fellow students and everything, that there has just been a spectacular result. What we hope is going to be a spectacular result. There's a long way to go. We will get the affidavit or the probable cause documents later. This guy has to be extradited, is it, or whatever, into the state of Idaho from Pennsylvania. So that docket isn't released yet. I think there are some dockets there, but it's not the affidavit. And I think there's charges to do with burglary. So this is, unlawfully entering a home, right? It's crazy stuff because, yes, if this is true that he's asked about, sorry, I'm probably repeating myself and everything. I just really wish I had more energy and that I could think clearly. I really feel like something's in my brain at the moment. I don't feel myself. I can barely get a breath. But anyway, I think I feel like I'm just maybe under a lot of stress, and I just feel like I'm maybe on the verge of panic attacks and things. It might just be, maybe I'm just coming down with a flu. I don't know. And it's lack of sleep. So it doesn't make pleasant viewing. But if it is true, and they've halted now the cleanup, yeah, because the Elantra, we were told, look out for the person or persons in the vehicle, right? So did he recruit someone as a getaway driver? Just maybe, did he intend, did this person who's alleged to be involved, if he is, did he intend to go in there and murder? Did he just want to, did this escalate beyond what he thought? I think the questions in his survey really point to the fact that he did want to commit a really violent crime. I think, people these days, sadly, especially with going through COVID and everything, I think a lot of people have sadly not made it psychologically, not made it emotionally. in a stable manner, and that just, there's a lack of experience, and a lot of it's coming out sideways in identity issues, or in just a change in who they sort of inherently were before these times. I don't know, people living very isolated like this, they're not getting to experience what people maybe would normally experience in their 20s, that carefree era. And there's a lot of time to think, and a lot of time to feel like, wow, I'm just dead. How can I feel alive? And to feel like you go and kill someone to feel something is just, isn't this just so insane? Rather than say, okay, well, I'll have an experience. I'll race a car on a track. I'll learn to race a car, or I'll jump out of a plane, or go on a bungee jump. I will go exploring on my own and trek up a mountain and feel alive that way. No, they want to feel what it is like to see terror, to smell fear, to taste blood, to take life, to watch someone's last breath go. This is the sexual act. It's just taking a life, that turns them on, that gives them a response, that adrenaline, that dopamine. Good God. I mean, you can see it in this Bryan's eyes. To me, I don't know, am I just, projecting? But you can see, the wildness and the madness, I think, in his eyes. He looks like a man whose body has been, the adrenaline, the cortisol and everything it does. You can see it. It changes how you feel, and it changes how you look, and how your vibration, your energy, how you interact, with people. And you can see it. It's like, I think you can see a madness in Alan's eyes, but of course he's an alleged killer in the Delphi murders. Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I thought. Revenge, as in just maybe his selection of victims, happy people, someone that he's really taking someone from, someone that is, just removing something good off the earth, right? And thrill, just thrill, to feel, to experience, to have that surge of feeling, and he's just going to be so exposed, his psyche and his ego and his arrogance and his desires are all going to be laid bare. And I think we're going to see someone who is so possessed by the fantasy that, he, clearly he's not thinking in rational terms. I mean, it's not anyway, to do what he's done, but he's dissociated from what he really looks like, right? So he's not as hidden as he thought. And in fact, I think, it's going to be, sadly, in retrospect, he might be someone that should have been on someone's radar. And maybe he was. I mean, we don't know if anyone's tipped him in thinking, look, I think you should look at this guy. He was a, security guy at Pleasant Valley High School, and he was always very weird. He scared the students. I don't know. Maybe someone tipped in the survey because they did think, this is interesting. This is someone asking about how to commit such a crime. I don't know. But what does this say about, about the human condition at the moment? Where, I mean, look, okay, so we live fairly safe lives, I guess, recent years excluded, I mean, we still are wild animals in a way, but we're very domesticated. We've domesticated ourselves, although we're sort of enslaved. And we're not, though, experiencing a natural life because we're not living for a living. So we're not waking up and then in control of our own world. Whatever we're not having to build our dwelling. I mean, look, yes, we build houses, yes, we earn money, yes, we have families, etc. But, we're not out there in the elements in any sort of pioneer sense or any sort of developing world sense, if you know what I mean. We're not out there, for the most part, hunting just as a way of life. People do it, they enjoy it, but if you don't hunt, you don't live, sort of thing, right? We're not living in that way. We're having these close calls, these adrenaline rushes, where we're having these rites of passage and things. And there's a lot of young men that are not getting their rites of passage. And how is this affecting what they do moving forward in life, feeling like they're not living and there's something missing? This is a spiritual crisis. This is a deep level grassroots crisis of immense magnitude. This is a global issue. There are people still, luckily, being brought up in a way that have these rituals and these accomplishments, etc., right? There are still tribes around the world that live in this way, and they're not living in these bastardized cultures that do destroy you, this rat race, for example, right? And, I think this goes a long way to explain why people are doing dreadful things to their bodies or committing awful crimes against others. We've got to find a way to get connection back, and make space for people and make it possible for people to live again, right? Because otherwise they're just going to keep on coming up like mushrooms and keep taking lives senselessly, so selfishly. Anywho, I've really got to go, I guess. And yeah, so the weapon hasn't been found. Okay, so where is the weapon? But yeah, what do you think? Do you think there maybe is an accomplice? When you use an accomplice, it's much more risky, isn't it? Because that person can be caught or can talk, can turn on you. What a trust, right? And would someone that would possibly be, someone with this psychology, do they have any people that they can trust and that they can confide in? I mean, look, yeah, there are those killers that commit these thrill kills together, I guess. But by the time you're in your 20s, I think this is guy 25 or is he even 28? Yeah, who really is he confiding to in matters of murder? Maybe somewhere darkly on some forum, but in real life, I don't know. Maybe, and to know someone that would be an accomplice to, even if he was told it was just going to be a burglary. Does he know someone else that wanted to actually physically commit the crime? Look, I don't know. Maybe he's acted smart in the moment and is trying to distract the investigation with a red herring. Red herrings are the scourge of investigations, aren't they? Complex tentacles, all of this shit, right? So, I feel it's quite possible for someone to have committed this crime on their own. I'm so grateful that this person isn't as bright as he thinks he is, and he did not get rid of the Elantra. And I hope that not only just the very possession of this Elantra, I hope that there is forensic evidence in there that ensures that this person, is convicted. And he can only blame himself. And he can thank the tenacity of law enforcement. They've done a wonderful job. What a way to end the year. It is truly spectacular. For my part, I am apologetic to people that I've talked about when I have not liked someone's behavior because of my own experiences. I've projected onto them a creepy vibe, for example, hoodie guy, right? And maybe purely because I've thought it's really odd that the girls just didn't wave goodbye and say, yep, he's here, thank you. It's possible that there was someone in the bar that they didn't want to have follow them, and they were trying to just get home without that person making any moves. Who knows? Could be completely innocent, everything to do with the corner bar. Maybe this person has followed them from the corner bar and known when they were going to be home, but he could have just been watching from the rear car park, knowing that they park in front, don't use the rear car park, knowing that they'd be dropped off by a driver down the bottom of their little cul-de-sac. Kudos to the people that have conducted this investigation and made the arrest. Is it true that FBI were watching him for 4 days? Yeah, probably. Anyway, sorry, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for anyone who does watch and listen. I'll try and get back onto form soon. I'm really not sure what to do with this channel, if I want to continue or not. But I won't make any decisions, but there's lots of reasons. And I just don't know if it serves any purpose any longer for you, as well as for me. And I don't really have anything to offer, because the thing is that these days we can't say the things that we want to. It used to be, for all sorts of reasons. It brings nothing but grief. It's unfair. You can lose your channel for no reason, and you can't be truly reactionary, which is what I like to do. Yes, I think, I've probably just run out of steam here on Humanimal Channel. But, tomorrow's a new day, and I just wouldn't want to continue just with nothing to offer, right? And the things that I'm passionate about, the things that you want to talk about, world events, not only true crime, but world events and things that, affect human beings all over and in general. I just can't speak my mind, because you're not allowed to have these conversations any longer. Well, no matter where your intentions lie and what you care about and why, because there's always someone there ready to get their nose out of joint, take great offense, without any self-reflection or any communication or discourse on it. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I don't want to hurt other people by being outspoken. But what's the point of having a voice if you can't use it, and if you can't use it to express about important things, right? And talk about values and the things that matter. Anyway. So I don't know what is going on with this channel. I'm sorry I don't post very much or anything of significance. Perhaps in the new year things will be different, and I'll feel differently, and I'll feel better about myself and about what I have to say, and might have some new ideas and move forward in a different way. Yeah. Anywho, see you later.